Hey, it's Thirsty Thursday, and you are thirsty for some wrestling news here on Rumor and Innuendo. Yes,
2 seconds in, I'm already uncomfortable.
Robert, so thirsty for wrestling news, and I'm going to give it to you, and so is Robert Karpeles. WWE Creative _ish on X. Nailed it.
You nailed it, but you also said, I'm thirsty, and I'm going to give it to you. And we're not even at a Blue Chew ad. Save it for later, promo code Rumor. But happy Thursday, guys. Do a couple quick shout-outs. Commando says, hey, yo. I think that's copywritten, so I don't want to get sued. Josh, don't call me Chad Henney, said, let's get this party started. And Christopher Zanto, good morning, all. It's Thursday, and you know what that means. Billy and the CW Day. Woot, woot. I like the manifesting, but unfortunately, Mr. Zanto, Mr. Tony Khan last night threw a stacked episode of AEW Dynamite, and Dom, we got a lot of stuff to talk about.
We got quite a bit to talk about, Robert. Yes, and a great deal of it will deal with Dynamite. But we also have some indirect kind of news when it comes to some WWE-related people in regards to Mike Tyson and who he will be fighting, apparently. We also little Conor McGregor talk. Then we're going to talk some contract stuff with AEW. A couple of superstars there.
Love it.
Let's start it off, though, with AEW Dynamite. And the big thing, I think the big reveal was that Okada showed up in Atlanta and wasn't necessarily on the side we thought he was going to be. He is a part of the elite, and he is a heel. Robert, what did you think of this execution of presenting Okada in this fashion?
Yeah, so hell of a Dynamite. I'm glad they didn't hold it for next week for big business. That was something we had talked about before, because if you debut Okada and Mercedes Moné on the same show, you risk losing that story. I was one of those guys that was kind of hoping we were going to see Kazuchika Okada in WWE. I understand, he signed with AEW. That's fine. The association with the Young Bucks, a little confusing, just because, did you hear that reaction from that Atlanta crowd, Dom?
Yes, I did.
Those people were ready to root and cheer Okada, pick the AEW team. He put on the jersey. They want to be able to celebrate that, enjoy that. And then you take a step back, because we hear Rumor and Innuendo. You guys are the genuinely smart fans. You're intelligent people. You think soundly through what this is. You look at the potential matches that Okada has as a heel. They immediately set up that Hangman Adam Page suspended from the Elite. Kenny Omega fired from the Elite. So when Omega comes back, him and Okada on opposite sides. Him and Ospreay on opposite sides. Him and Danielson on opposite sides. Him and Swerve on opposite sides. There are a lot of really interesting, really strong matches with Okada as a heel. And one of my friends, the very intelligent Scott Chaplin, my co-host at Wrestle Roast, who is a New Japan aficionado, he said it properly in our group chat last night. He said, Okada as a babyface is kind of boring. So heel Okada, you don't have to worry about having to cut a promo. We know that his promo abilities in English are going to be a little shakier. Having the Young Bucks as his mouthpiece, immediately people you want to boo. It immediately moves the Young Bucks away from this Sting Darby storyline into something new, which is something we talked about yesterday, Dom.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. I think the aspect of having him be a heel and then also being part of the Elite, and then therein removing Kenny Omega and Hangman Page out of that element, and then that aspect almost kind of washes away some of that EVP identity when it comes to Kenny Omega and that kind of thing. You're still going to get, I think, some of the heel authority stuff when it comes to the Bucks, but I think it kind of washes a little bit of that away and presents a new angle for these guys to kind of play with, having somebody, a talent like Okada in their echelon and everything like that. So I think it's a pretty good move. Plus, you named it, several baby faces that those guys can go against. Ospreay clearly positioned as a baby face, in this light. Danielson, we'll see. He's kind of been in back and forth, but matter of respect with Eddie Kingston and all those guys. And it looks like that's who Okada might be going up against first, is Eddie Kingston. Maybe that
you hit the nail on the head. Eddie Kingston is perfect for this role. He is the Mick Foley of AEW. He is a guy who you've followed his journey. You've seen his evolution at AEW. He cuts a hell of a promo. He's someone who is unbelievably over, no matter where he is on the card, no matter what city you're in. So on the one hand, you're going, this is great that Okada's back. On the other hand, You don't want to see Okada beat Eddie Kingston. You want to see Kingston beat the holy hell out of Okada. I want to comment. I'm not going to put the comment up on the screen. Our boy Commando here, because he's using the words we're not supposed to use here on YouTube. We got a friendly damn show here until we get to the Blue Chew ad. He said he also wore the blank out of a suit. He didn't say blank. We got to get the F out. But Okada, when he was on AEW TV before, he was in sweatpants. He didn't look like a champion. Here, he looked like a main event player. And I liked that combined with the Young Bucks, with the Succession theme song that they now come out to.
That's great. Yeah.
I hate the Young Bucks characters. I don't buy them as EVPs. I don't buy them as wrestlers. I just don't buy them in general. But this instance here, Matt Jackson pouring the money onto the Rainmaker after, it looked cool. Okada and Eddie Kingston, most likely for the next day. I always get this pay-per-view wrong. It's Dynasty, right?
Dynasty, Craig.
Nailed it. AEW Dynasty. If you're giving me Okada and Eddie Kingston, we're doing something right, Dom.
Absolutely.
And I feel like Dynamite did a lot of something wrong here, right here, not wrong. I was trying to steer, and then I clicked the wrong thing to see what we're talking about next. But what's next from Dynamite that we're veering to, my man?
Sure. What do you think? I mean, people talked about it, the new presentation, the new logo, the new feel of it all. How'd that kind of stand out to you? Does it look like the right move? Literally.
Look crisp, look clear. I didn't love the new theme song. It felt very WWE 2013 kind of generic, loud, screaming music. I liked their old theme song. The two entrances, TNA used to do that too. It kind of bugs me a little bit. I'm like old school. I like there being a singular entrance point. And the problem when you pull back with the neon lights around it, one of my friends mentioned, Mike Lawrence said it looked like a glow-in-the-dark prophylactic. And that's not ideal when you're looking at this, that they're walking through a condom. But when they raised up the Bucks in what used to be the old Cody spot, that was a pretty nice little thing here, and refreshing the presentation without totally upending everything. Not a bad idea.
Yeah, I think the color schemes and everything like that, keeping it kind of bright, and it's pops a little bit more than what the previous set looked like, and in the logo that itself too, I think was pretty good. Something else we have to kind of talk about was potentially another dynasty match, and Will Ospreay main eventing against Kyle Fletcher here. Big back and forth match, hard hitting. I have my own thoughts about it, but at the end they teased Bryan Danielson coming out, and sure enough, behind them as they're staring off is that promotion for AEW Dynasty, April 21st. So, Robert, what do you think of Will Ospreay in the main event there, and Darren Danielson coming up too?
Well, I thought that main event really over-delivered. They finally know how to utilize the overrun, which is something AEW has had a problem with in the past. There was no one that was tuning out at the end of that match. The finishing sequence, the last 3 minutes of that match was a damn clinic on free television. Kyle Fletcher, we had said on this show for a while, is a star of the future. He's a star of the present. That whole match laid out perfectly. I did my best to ignore Don Callis on commentary as much as I could, but you watch that and you go, we are going to get a hell of a lot of fun Will Ospreay matches for months and years to come. And the tease after Danielson coming out there, Danielson and Ospreay staring off. I'm going to go off script, so don't get mad at me.
Do it.
The image of those two guys for a lot of wrestling fans, they ain't going to need Blue Chew.
No,
because
they are.
That was the dream situation right there. But it can't hurt to have a little extra just in case, because guys, this episode is sponsored by Blue Chew. Let's talk about sex. Remember the days when you were always ready to go? Now you can increase your performance and get that extra confidence in bed. Visit BlueChew.com. Blue Chew is a unique online service that delivers the same active ingredients as Viagra, Cialis, and Levitra, but in chewable tablets and at a fraction of the cost. You can take them anytime, day or night. You can take them during the overrun, so you can plan ahead or be ready whenever an opportunity arises. The best part? It's all done online. No visits to the doctor's office, no awkward conversations, and no waiting in line at the pharmacy. A lot of AEW fans last night saw Bryan Danielson and Will Ospreay face to face. They went from 6 to midnight. That's not something that's happening every night. So you want to have that little extra confidence, that little extra insurance in your back pocket, because guys, Blue Chew wants to help you have better sex. Discover your options at bluechew.com. Chew it and do it. And we've got a special deal for our listeners. Try Blue Chew free when you use our promo code RUMOR at checkout. Just pay $5 shipping. That's bluechew.com, promo code RUMOR to receive your first month free. Visit bluechew.com for more details and important safety information. And we thank Blue Chew for sponsoring Dom's opinion of the Kyle Fletcher-Will Ospreay match. Dom, what did you think of that match? You don't get any more seamless than that, baby.
No, you really don't. So I think Ospreay is amazing. I love his work. I love kind of the expressions that he has and everything like that when it comes to being in the ring and how I immediately see how he connects with the crowd. I think a lot of it, there's just the little aspects missing of him. Like they go and do all the flips and stuff like that. And I don't want to sound too like old school about all this stuff, but
no, keep talking, Cornette. Let's hear what you want to say.
But it definitely, it loses a lot with me, I think. And I'm curious too, the back and forth chops. You see these every matches when it comes to a lot of this stuff. It's a lot of stuff that the AEW talent leans on, I think. And it's like just the little miss aspects of selling, I think, too, kind of come into play. And I think if Ospreay's able to be cognizant of that and put that a little bit more together in his matches, that's just only going to elevate him, I think. But I mean, the match itself was very, very well done and very good, and the crowd was into it. So I just thinking long term, how is that going to keep going when it comes to these? Are we going to see more of Ospreay from these different levels? And I also wanted to see him kind of speak a little bit too on the program. I don't know. What do you think about that, Robert?
So I think what we noticed with Ospreay, and I noticed it on Dynamite more than I did at the pay-per-view, there's a little bit of nerves, a little bit of flop sweat in the sense that he was trying really hard to get that crowd to support him. You're going into Atlanta, Georgia. That's WCW territory. That's not necessarily New Japan territory. And he wants to make sure that audience is plugged in. They're invested in what Ospreay is doing. So you're going to get the old Ospreay, the bag of tricks, the stuff that him and Kyle Fletcher can kind of do in their sleep. I would like to see him slow down a little bit more, sell a little bit more, register some of those incredible moves that he does. But when you're buying this particular type of talent, he's going to go out there and do what has made him incredibly successful. I think he will temper his act over time. We'll absolutely see that. But for right now, you got to keep the people engaged, and you got to give the people what they want. And right now, they either are all in on Ospreay and they know what they're seeing, or for a lot of these fans, it's the first time they're really seeing Ospreay compete in the ring. When he's wrestled for AEW, his big matches, his signature matches have been on pay-per-view.
Right.
His great matches have taken place either in Revolution Pro or in New Japan, some other audience somewhere else. So on free TV, to give this kind of match, people tuned in and they got more than their money's worth. But your criticism is entirely sound. And 9 times out of 10, I'd be right there with you, minus that incredibly stupid Jets hat.
How dare you? Well, what wasn't incredibly stupid, I think, was the opening segment here on AEW Dynamite. Swerve Strickland issued a statement about what he plans and what his intentions still are, and he wants that AEW gold. And sure enough, Samoa Joe comes out and has his own words before the Undisputed Kingdom comes out. I really like Swerve in this landscape. He kind of laid it all out, addressed his past transgressions, and very much connected with the crowd. Robert, what did you think of all this going down here and the inclusion of the Undisputed Kingdom? I have a little bit more thoughts on that as well, too.
I liked Swerve's promo. This was him going out there and acknowledging, I guess I'm a babyface, guys.
Yeah, basically.
I literally yelled at a baby after I broke into their house, and you all want to cheer me. You're some sick bastards, but here we are. And Swerve was the babyface Shane Strickland. Hangman not there, suspended for attacking referees or whatever. So Hangman out of the picture. You got to get Swerve as the solid babyface. You got to get Joe as the solid heel. And this, more than anything, felt like old school WWE booking. This was like Raw 2011, where your champion and challenger come out, they tease the match, then they send out the tag champs. And in a situation that would have made Vince McMahon very happy and very blurred, is you beat the hell out of your tag team champions to forward a world title storyline. Tony Khan's learning, guys. If there's one lesson he's going to learn from Vince, it's this. If there's two lessons, when you sign an NDA, you better pay the girl.
Well, that's exactly what I was going to say, Robert, when it comes to the tag team champions. Like, there, I get it. You know, you want to get Swerve and you want to get Joe over and all that stuff, but they're already over. And I don't, I think you could have kind of incorporated them a little bit, like their tension with one another, into them getting the win, the tag team champs getting the win, because right now the Kingdom kind of just feels like an afterthought. And, you know, that story we set up, like with the devil and all that stuff, really fell flat. If you want to try to establish these guys, you're not doing them any justice by having that kind of happen. I think when it comes to, okay, now he's got to face Wardlow though next week, big business, which is another thing to talk about. So,
you know what? Beat this group to death. This group sucks. Adam Cole and his crew. This thing obviously does not work. It needs to go away very, very quickly. So I'm fine with beating the Ring of Honor tag team champions in this situation. Under normal circumstances, would I hate it? Yes. Here, it advanced it. It forwarded it. The Wardlow coming out after to go confront them, and then Joe choking out Swerve was blocked properly as a production guy. That's going to make me very happy, because the Okada Rainmaker stuff to Eddie Kingston, not blocked very well. Very awkward presentation of that piece.
Yeah.
That was a little rough, but I really loved all of this. It was weird seeing Wardlow back with the Undisputed Kingdom, because he cut that killer promo 2 weeks ago of, I'm sick of all this nonsense. Like, I'm here to go be me and rise to the top. And now he's back to being Diesel standing next to Shawn Michaels.
Right. Yeah, no, I found it a little but maybe to your point, maybe they are moving the wheels of like, hey, let's get these guys all broken up and like forget about this when it's all said and done, this whole Kingdom stuff.
Whatever makes it go away faster.
That's it. Darby Allin, he had some promo time too, and had a confrontation with Jay White. I thought Jay White was very compelling and like had some great lines. I loved it. Him saying bye to Tony Schiavone when he's just like, hey, bye, Tony, like leaving the ring, just little stuff like that. What'd you think of that segment there, Robert?
So maybe I missed something. Jay White and the Guns are in the Bang Bang Scissor Gang, which are baby faces, correct?
Correct, yes.
They're being cheered of late. They're baby faces. Jay White has repented for his past ill behavior. And then he was out there as the heel, and he was oddly effective as the heel here.
Yeah.
I didn't like his heel stuff against MJF. It felt a lot lesser than. I didn't understand anything with the Bang Bang Scissor Gang, but this Jay White, who feels a little more relaxed, a little more comfortable, dug the hell out of him. Darby, I'm rarely going to praise Darby Allin when it comes to stuff. I having worked with him, I've got my thoughts on Darby's presentation, his promo abilities, his skill. I think he is a tremendous wrestler who takes a lot of unnecessary risks. I think his promos sometimes a little repetitive. We get that you were homeless. That's been kind of documented and a little bit debunked over time, that, you know, you were homeless because you chose to be homeless. I think that's part of where it brought like bristles with me. Like, he wanted to sleep in his car and do all this to pursue his dream. It wasn't as if it was a matter of necessity. And I think that's something that gets lost in the narrative a little bit. But broadly speaking, if he's going to die on Mount Everest, I'm glad he's getting one good match at a Jay White before he's gone. And that Darby Allin Memorial show, gonna be fantastic, Dom.
Man, like all that aspect that comes with climbing Mount Everest. It's like you're in like this picture of like big business coming up, and then hey, you know, what's next for you? Everybody's talking about what's next for him with Sting, without Sting, and all that stuff. I don't know. It's like, I get him being a risk taker, and I think he does have a great connection with fans, I think, in a lot of ways, and shows a lot of that. Yeah, it's just it's kind of just a weird, wild situation, but I'm looking forward to the big business match coming up. That's for sure.
That should be fun. Announcing the tag tournament, him laying the title down, him laying the belt down. Sorry, it's AEW. You can call it a belt there. I know people who have climbed Everest before. It is no joke. It is legitimately perilous. It can be life or death in certain situations. So we're joking about it. Obviously, we hope Darby's going to be okay, that he doesn't try to do a coffin drop off the top of Mount Everest. Be some very confused Sherpas. But the tag tournament set up nicely, the video package highlighting all those different teams that are going to be vying for it. It's sort of the AEW March Madness. I get the tie-in. We're getting close to the bracketology coming out for the NCAA tournament, which I'm excited about
I
because
like that. Yep.
the company I work for right now, they're doing a company-wide bracket. I have won company-wide brackets. In fact, I won the WWE corporate bracket one year because UConn was favored number one, and I picked my beloved Florida Gators to win it all. And they did. And I don't want to say that I won any money because gambling on sports at the time, not entirely copacetic, Dom, but it was a good day in the Karpeles household. It's always a good day when the Gators are winning. It was a bad day last night for Christian Cage and his feud with Adam Copeland, Dom.
That's correct. We are getting Cope in Cage 3, apparently in Toronto, and in an I Quit match. Cage was great on commentary. Very fun. I did like him just running like a coward and all that aspect. What do you think about them kind of, okay, here we go. This is the finality of it. What do you see this coming out and unfolding as?
This damn well better sell tickets in Toronto.
Yeah.
It was unfortunate. There's always going to be those pictures out there of empty seats. There was a large swath of empty seats that looked like in Atlanta. And for the show coming off of a major pay-per-view in a market that has been very Dynamite friendly, it's not something you want to see. I'm sure next week in Boston, they have stacked the hell out of that card. It's going to be big. You want to stack Toronto, give them, Edge versus Christian. Sorry, Cope versus Christian I'm guessing the blow off of this storyline. It does kind of need to end. I have not loved anything they've done with Adam Copeland since he's been in AEW, and he is one of my all-time favorites. I loved working with him. I loved him as a fan. I think the world of him and Christian. When they work against each other, it didn't really work in WWE. It really hasn't worked here, but these are guys who are having fun. They're back. We thought we were never going to get Edge again. We thought we were never going to get Christian again. Let them do what they want to do, get it out of their system, and move on. And it's kind of better than other older WWE guys who are in AEW who are allowed to do what they want. I'm not going to name names, Chris Jericho, who keep him away from Hook. Please, for the love of all things holy. I get that. Look, there's a lot of rumor and innuendo that was circulating around Chris Jericho. Some of that had originated within the confines of this very show in a previous iteration with a previous co-host. And AEW's decision on that was to generally ignore it and just kind of push forward. So they've tried every way possible to reinvent Jericho, present Jericho in a different way, the Lionheart stuff. And now it's let's attach him to Hook, who everybody loves. And hopefully that rubs off on Chris. And I don't love the idea of Chris rubbing off on Hook. That didn't sound right. But I don't want to see those guys together. Hook is a very special talent, and he can stand on his own. And I actually enjoyed his match with Brian Cage.
I did too.
Those two had some good times. And it's fun to hear Taz on commentary calling his son. And speaking of commentary,
yes, Jim Ross has resigned with AEW. He made that announcement on his podcast, Grill and JR, which happens to be on adfreeshows.com.
Synergy.
How about that? Here's his quote real quick. We wrote a new deal. We wrote a completely new deal. No extension, new contract. It was probably the quickest and easiest negotiation I have ever done in my career of 50 years. That's all because of Tony Khan's commitment to me as a broadcaster. He's always been a fan of my work, which helps your cause when your boss is a fan of your work. We got a new deal. So, yeah, what do you think of them re-signing JR? Keeping him in the mesh of everything, and he's called a couple of those main event matches on Revolution. So
he did. I think utilizing Jim Ross sparingly, using him for main events, using him for big events and special moments. He needs to look to how WCW used Gordon Solie towards the end.
Mm-hmm.
A guy who everyone respects, everybody loves, but nobody needs Jim Ross out there for a 2-hour broadcast. He doesn't need to be used out there for a 2-hour broadcast. They have a lot of very capable commentators when they're not feuding with each other. The Ian Riccaboni, Kevin Kelly thing is super bizarre, but that's not the
Isn't it?
point.
That's weird.
I'm happy JR re-signed. A small part of me selfishly would have liked to have seen Jim get one last shot in WWE under Triple H, who would not have relished in humiliating JR. It would have been cool to hear Jim Ross's voice at WrestleMania 40, but I completely understand riding with Tony Khan, going forward with what this company is offering him, and happy to see JR going forward.
Yes, I think too it adds to, you want some of those legacy talents, I think, in that mix of AEW, because you have such new talent. And Jim Ross is a sound mind for wrestling, and I think there's only positive to keep him around for AEW. So another
We'll see.
Yep, another sound mind for pro wrestling, I think, is Matt Hardy and his.
Another ad-free shows guy.
That's correct. The Extreme Life of Matt Hardy. His AEW contract is reportedly expiring, according to Fightful, in March this month. Robert, what do you think of Matt Hardy's situation? I think he's a valuable commodity, whether it would be for WWE or for AEW, and he hasn't wrestled this year.
He has not wrestled this year. I'm trying to figure out the most to quote Mr. Johnny Disco here in the comments. It's so diplomatic. I think that was about something else, but I'm going to say this here.
Mm-hmm.
Matt Hardy he's definitely a talent. He's definitely someone who has what to contribute to the wrestling business. I would rather see him leave AEW and come to WWE, not necessarily to be an on-camera guy, working in NXT, working with Jeremy Borash, who has brought the best out of Matt Hardy, the broken Matt Hardy stuff. He's a very creative guy. He's a very smart guy. He's someone who knows how to operate and work with younger talent. It's clear that Matt and Jeff Hardy have been frustrated with what's going on in WWE. But the challenge is, I don't see WWE wanting to bring back Jeff Hardy so soon after his last transgression. They're a publicly traded company. They don't want to invite that potential controversy there. So I don't know what the best fit is. Maybe Matt decides, to have another run in TNA. I think he could do something there. I just don't see AEW using him, and keeping someone around who's clearly not going to be happy doesn't benefit anybody.
It's a head scratcher. You have the Hardy Boys, and obviously Jeff has had his problems and stuff like that while in AEW. But Matt's been a consistent, steady presence back there, and very proactive when it comes to speaking highly of AEW. And it just seemed like he should have done more there, a little bit more and stuff like that. But
John, we've done more than more, and we've got two big stories and 2 minutes left. So just
the end
of PTI, let's get the clock going.
Let's try to merge these together here, because they both involve some MMA people, a little bit of boxing, a little bit of legit fighting here. We got Mike Tyson announced to fight Jake Paul in Texas Stadium, of all places, Jerry's World. And that is going to go down. And so Conor McGregor also teased potentially coming back to WWE, basically saying you never know. But what do you kind of think? That Mike Tyson, Hall of Famer, WWE Hall of Famer, Jake Paul, Logan Paul's brother, them clashing, man.
How is it Logan Paul is the professional wrestler, yet Jake Paul was the bigger carny of the two?
That's it.
I like that. I like it. It works. I think, look, I respect Mike Tyson. I actually produced a Mike Tyson fight when I worked at Showtime back in 2005 against Danny Williams in Louisville. I have a Louisville Slugger bat floating around here somewhere with my name on it from that fight. It's a novelty situation. It's Tyson, obviously significantly past his prime, going and having a celebrity fight. It's going to draw a lot of eyeballs. Unfortunately, boxing has become way more carny than wrestling, and if they want to get eyeballs, it's either a reality star or a name from the past. I hope it's not terribly embarrassing, but it'll be an interesting spectacle nonetheless.
Yeah, will you buy it?
No. I buy it.
I might.
No, I value my money, and that's why we offer the $5 shipping and handling only for Blue Chew promo code rumor, because we value your money. No, because I feel like this is the kind of fight, all due respect, you'll probably see a 30-second clip of it on X and see everything you need to see.
Good point. Robert, what's everything they need to see with you, huh?
What's everything you need to see with me? Was making sure we. Oh, so real quick, because Conor McGregor, you said
Oh yeah.
Conor McGregor said you never know when it comes to his involvement in wrestling. Yeah, if he gets paid, he's going to whore himself out to whoever wants him. I think WWE could do something with him. I just don't think he really respects wrestling, and I don't necessarily need to see him there.
I agree.
That's just me. But you know what I do want to see, Dom? I want to see more Dom podcasts, audio and video. Dom, where can the fine people find you?
Sure, Robert. You can find me on X at Dominic DeAngelo. But hey, check me out on One of a Kind with RVD. Go to rvdtv.com. And if you're tuning in on Thursday, tune in tonight at 9 p.m. live on the channel. We'll be recording the next week's episode. Always fun to engage and interact with fans there. And then I'm also recording today's new episode of Straight Talk with the Boss, Gagne and Magnum TA and Greg Gagne. So go to gagneandmagnum.com. Check out all the clips there and the new episodes there.
I'm going to assume when you're talking to Magnum, you're talking about him being at Sting's last match, right?
Oh, yeah. We're definitely going to be covering that for sure.
It's called a teased. I'm trying to
Robert,
tease.
see, you're helping me out here.
I am, man. We got to get those eyeballs, those ears, whatnot. There's a comment in the section from Benji247 who said, "Wash your hands." Wrong show, Benji. That is my other podcast,
but I got
Wrestle
the
Roasts, which drops every Friday. I'm actually going to record it after this today. We've got all four of the hosts on today: Mike Lawrence, Dan St. Germain, Scott Chaplin, and myself, talking the Earthquake Dark Side of the Ring episode, as well as their takes on Dynamite and all things wrestling. So that's going to be a hell of a lot of fun. This has been a hell of a lot of fun. And if you want to catch the show in audio podcast form, you can get it wherever you get your audio shows, whether that's Spotify, iTunes, what have you. Throw up a 5-star review when you're there. Write a little review. Help that algorithm out. Help our audience grow, because we are on Podcast Heat's X account, Podcast Heat, who makes Rumor and Innuendo possible, as well as the WWE Creative _ISH X account, the at Dominic DeAngelo X account, which is great if you want to see pictures of him exercising at the gym.
Thirst traps.
Gross. You can SE Scoops. I'm proud to be part of the SE Scoops, Mike, and everything they do over there. That's where I get a lot of my wrestling news, as well as the ad-free shows, Rumor and Innuendo, YouTube. Subscribe everywhere, follow everywhere. We love doing this show every day for you guys. It's the highlight of my day, Dom. Is it the highlight of your day?
Absolutely, it is. 100%, Robert.
On behalf of the highlighting, Dominic DeAngelo, I'm Robert Karpeles. Best of luck in your future endeavors.
See you Friday.